One rainy afternoon, Emily, a 7-year-old girl, walked home from the park. The rain poured down, soaking her clothes and shoes. She held her jacket tight, trying to stay warm. As she passed a metal mailbox near her house, she heard a faint noise. It was soft, like a whimper. She stopped and looked around. Under the mailbox, in the wet grass, was a tiny kitten. Its gray fur was matted with mud, and it shivered from the cold. Its eyes were half closed, and it looked weak. Emily knelt down and picked it up. The kitten was so small it fit in her hand, and its body felt cold against her skin. Emily ran home, holding the kitten close to keep it warm. She pushed open the front door and found her parents in the living room. Her dad was reading a book, and her mom was folding laundry. Emily held out the kitten, her face serious. She asked if she could keep it. Her parents looked at the tiny animal, then at Emily. They saw how much she cared. After a moment, they agreed. Emily smiled and decided to name the kitten Whiskers because of his long, white whiskers that stood out against his gray fur. In the kitchen, her mom poured some milk into a small bowl and warmed it slightly. Her dad found an old towel in the closet. They sat on the floor and gently dried Whiskers, wiping away the mud and water. The kitten's fur started to fluff up, and he looked a little stronger. Emily watched closely, sitting cross-legged nearby. Her mom set the bowl of milk in front of Whiskers. At first, he sniffed it, unsure. Then he started lapping it up, his tiny tongue moving fast. Emily's dad took a cardboard box from the garage and lined it with a soft blanket. They placed it in a quiet corner of the living room to make a bed for Whiskers. That night, Whiskers curled up in the box and slept. Emily stayed by his side, watching him breathe. She felt happy knowing she had saved him. Before bed, her parents called her upstairs, but she promised Whiskers she'd check on him first thing in the morning. Whiskers settled into Emily's home quickly. Every morning, Emily checked his box first thing. He was always there, curled up or stretching his tiny legs. She fed him milk from a bowl, and soon he ate soft cat food too. Whiskers followed Emily around the house, his small paws tapping on the floor. He liked to chase a ball of yarn Emily dragged for him. Sometimes he pounced on her shoelaces when she walked by. At night, he slept in his box, but sometimes he climbed onto Emily's bed and curled up by her feet. Emily's parents watched them play and smiled. They saw how happy Whiskers made her. Whiskers grew a little each week. His gray fur got thicker, and his eyes became bright green. He was still small, but he was stronger than when Emily found him. He jumped onto the couch easily and ran faster when chasing toys. Emily spent hours with him after school. She built a small tower from blocks, and Whiskers knocked it over, making her laugh. Her mom bought a scratching post, and Whiskers used it right away, clawing at it with energy. The family got used to his playful habits. They kept the living room clear so he could run around. Emily's dad even made a toy from a stick and string, which Whiskers loved to chase. The house felt livelier with Whiskers in it, and Emily couldn't imagine life without him. After a few months, Emily's parents noticed something odd about Whiskers. He was growing much faster than other kittens they'd seen. His paws were bigger than normal, almost as wide as Emily's hand. His teeth looked sharper when he yawned, not like a regular kitten's. He still played with Emily, but his jumps were higher, and he moved with more strength. Sometimes, when he chased the string toy, he made low growling sounds instead of meows. Emily didn't notice anything strange. To her, Whiskers was just her kitten, the same one she'd saved. But her parents exchanged looks when Whiskers growled or when he pushed over a chair while playing. One evening, Whiskers ran across the living room and leaped onto the kitchen counter. Emily's mom was startled and shooed him down. He jumped off but looked at her with his green eyes, not scared at all. Her dad checked Whiskers' size against the neighbor's cat, who was older. Whiskers was already bigger, even though he was only a few months old. Emily's parents started to wonder about him. They thought maybe he was just a big cat, but the growling and his wild energy made them unsure. Emily kept playing with him, unaware of their concerns. She taught him to chase a laser pointer, and he darted across the room, his big paws thumping. Her parents decided to keep an eye on him but didn't say anything to Emily yet. They didn't want to worry her. One morning, when Whiskers was about 6 months old, Emily woke up and found him lying in his bed, barely moving. His eyes were half open, and his breathing was slow. She called his name, but he didn't respond. Emily ran to her parents, her heart racing. They found Whiskers still in his box, looking weak. He wouldn't eat the food they offered, not even his favorite treats. Emily's mom called the vet, and they wrapped Whiskers in a blanket to keep him warm. Emily sat in the back seat of the car, holding Whiskers' box on her lap as they drove to the clinic. She whispered to him, telling him he'd be okay. At the vet's office, the doctor examined Whiskers carefully. She checked his eyes, his mouth, and his heartbeat. She said he had a rare infection that was making him sick. The vet gave him medicine and said he needed rest, but she warned that he might not get better. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She didn't want to lose Whiskers. Her parents paid for the visit and got instructions to give him medicine twice a day. Back home, Emily set up a quiet spot for Whiskers in her room. She stayed by his side, watching him sleep. She brought him water and tried to get him to eat, but he only took a few bites. Emily's parents checked on them often, worried about both Whiskers and Emily. For a week, Whiskers stayed weak, and Emily spent every moment she could with him, hoping he would recover. After 7 long days, Whiskers started to improve. One morning, Emily saw him lift his head and lap at his water bowl. His eyes looked brighter, and he even stood up to stretch. Emily clapped her hands, overjoyed. She told her parents, and they came to see. Whiskers was still thin, but he was moving again. Over the next few days, he ate more and started to play a little. Emily brought out his favorite yarn ball, and he batted at it weakly. Her parents were relieved but noticed something new. Whiskers seemed different after his illness. His growls were louder, and his movements were sharper, almost wild. He didn't just chase toys, he pounced on them like they were prey. One afternoon, Emily was in the backyard with Whiskers. He was stronger now, and she tossed a stick for him to chase. Whiskers ran after it, but then he turned and leaped toward Emily. His claws scratched her arm, leaving deep red marks. Emily fell back, shocked and hurt. She held her arm, tears welling up. Her parents rushed outside when they heard her cry. They saw the scratches and Whiskers sitting nearby, his eyes wide. Emily's mom cleaned the wound and put a bandage on it. Her dad looked at Whiskers, unsure what to do. They sat Emily down and said Whiskers might be too dangerous to keep. Emily shook her head, crying harder. She said Whiskers didn't mean it. He was just playing too rough. She begged them to let him stay. Her parents saw how much she loved him and agreed to give him another chance, but they decided to watch him closely. As Whiskers approached a year old, his size and behavior continued to change. He was now much larger than any cat in the neighborhood, with thick gray fur and powerful legs. His green eyes seemed to glow when he stared. Emily's parents took him to the vet for a checkup, hoping to understand him better. During the visit, a large dog in the waiting room barked loudly. Whiskers didn't flinch. Instead, he let out a deep growl that made the dog stop and hide behind its owner. The vet noticed this and examined Whiskers closely. She measured his size, checked his teeth, and took a sample for tests. A few days later, the results came back. The vet called Emily's parents and explained that Whiskers wasn't a regular house cat. Tests showed he was part domestic cat but also had genes from a wild lynx species. Emily's parents were stunned. They hadn't expected this. The vet said Whiskers' wild traits explained his size, strength, and growling. She advised them to be careful, as his instincts could make him unpredictable. When they told Emily, she listened quietly. To her, Whiskers was still the kitten she'd saved, no matter what the tests said. She kept playing with him, tossing his toys and petting his fur. But her parents set new rules. Whiskers wasn't allowed in Emily's room at night, and they kept the doors locked when he was inside. They also watched him closely when he was near Emily. Whiskers didn't seem to notice the changes. He roamed the house, his big paws thumping on the floor, and slept in his bed by the living room window. Whiskers' wild nature became more obvious as he grew. He patrolled the backyard every day, walking along the fence like a guard. His presence kept stray animals away. Squirrels and birds vanished from the yard when he was outside. Once, a neighbor's dog wandered too close to the fence, and Whiskers leaped onto a tree stump, growling loudly. The dog ran off. Emily's parents had to replace the old wooden fence with a stronger metal one because Whiskers kept trying to climb over it. He was gentle with Emily, letting her pet him and even resting his head in her lap. But with strangers he was different. When a delivery man came to the door, Whiskers stood in the hallway, his fur raised, staring until the man left. Emily's parents grew used to Whiskers' protective habits. They saw he wasn't aggressive with the family, but his strength worried them. They bought a heavy-duty leash to take him outside safely. Emily walked him in the backyard, holding the leash tightly. Whiskers didn't like it at first and pulled hard, but he got used to it. The neighbors started talking about the big cat at Emily's house. Some were curious, others nervous. Emily didn't care. She loved Whiskers and spent her afternoons with him, throwing a ball or sitting under a tree while he lounged nearby. Her parents began to see how loyal Whiskers was to Emily. He followed her everywhere, his eyes always watching her. They started to trust him more, but they never forgot what the vet had said about his wild side. Whiskers continued to grow, his lynx-like traits becoming more pronounced. His thick fur made him look even larger, and his sharp claws left marks on the scratching post. Emily's parents adapted the house to suit him. They installed stronger latches on the doors and moved fragile items out of reach. Whiskers roamed the backyard daily, his powerful body moving with purpose. One night, a loud noise woke the family. Emily's dad grabbed a flashlight and checked the backyard. He found Whiskers standing near the fence, his fur raised, staring into the darkness. A broken branch lay nearby, and footprints in the dirt suggested someone had been there. Whiskers had scared off an intruder. Emily's dad patted Whiskers' head, grateful for his vigilance. The incident changed how Emily's parents viewed Whiskers. They realized his protective instincts were a strength, not just a risk. They still kept the leash for walks, but they let him spend more time in the backyard. Emily taught Whiskers to sit by her side when she did her homework outside. He watched her quietly, his green eyes calm. The neighbors grew used to seeing Whiskers' large form behind the fence. Some even brought treats, which Whiskers accepted cautiously. Emily's parents started to relax, seeing how Whiskers balanced his wild nature with loyalty to the family. Emily never doubted him. She brushed his fur every weekend, talking to him about school or her favorite books. Whiskers listened, his tail flicking gently. Today, Whiskers is far bigger than any house cat, with a broad head and strong limbs. His thick gray fur and bright green eyes give him a wild appearance, like a lynx from the forest. He still patrols the backyard, keeping stray animals away. The metal fence stands firm, and the neighbors no longer fear him. Whiskers remains gentle with Emily, letting her pet him and resting near her when she plays outside. With strangers, he stays alert, his growls a warning to keep their distance. Emily's parents no longer worry about his wild side. They trust his loyalty, especially after he protected their home. Emily, now a little older, still sees Whiskers as the tiny kitten she found under the mailbox. The scratches from that one rough day faded long ago, and she never feared him again. Whiskers follows her everywhere, his heavy paws thudding on the ground. The family considers him more than a pet. He's a guardian, a companion, and a part of their lives. The vet's tests and his lynx genes don't change how Emily feels. Whiskers grew into something extraordinary, but his bond with her never wavered. That rainy afternoon when she saved him tied them together forever. Whiskers and Emily share a quiet understanding, built on trust and love, no matter how big or wild he became.